Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Working Trader, where we look at the Euro USD and GBP USD and come up with trade ideas for the day if there are any. So let's jump right into it. Today is Wednesday, and there was news around 2 a.m. So we'll wait and see whether that will have an impact once the London market opens or once New York opens. Otherwise, there is no other news for the rest of the day. So let's look at the charts. Let's see what's going on. Okay. So on the Euro USD, we have been in this pullback phase. Okay. We've been in this pullback phase. Prices come in and mitigated this extreme or rather this pivot demand. Okay. And we are seeing a bit of a reaction. Okay, we are seeing a bit of a reaction. However, there's not much in terms of direction from what we're seeing from the daily. Okay, so we'll have to go on the lower time frames in order to maybe come up with a bias for the day. But as it stands, in general, we know that we are in an uptrend. Okay, price is bullish, and this is the range that we're in. This is the range that we're in. Okay, and once price broke structure for both internal and swing, we were in this pullback phase. Okay, and then we came back, mitigated this fractal supply, and then so pretty much we're in this internal pullback phase. Okay, and then we've made another lower low, so price could very much push up into these areas. Okay, if the internal pullback trend is continuing, we might just pull up into these areas, mitigate somewhere in this area, and then continue bearish. Okay. So on the pound, it's pretty much the same thing. We had our internal breakout structure as well as our swing breakout structure, and this is the range that we're in, internal, on the internal, and then from the swing is all the way down there. Okay, so pretty much price is bullish. Okay, however, after we had a breakout structure, we do expect a pullback to kick in. So price has been in this pullback phase. We mitigated this fractal supply, and we have respected, and we've made a lower low. Okay, and then now we've pulled into this fractal demand or decisional demand as well. Okay, we've mitigated, and we have a bit of a reaction. Okay, nothing too clear at the moment, so it is likely price could continue bullish, maybe to mitigate any of these areas. Okay, this buy to sell range. Okay, so price could push up to mitigate these areas, and if the pullback is to continue, then we might expect to see price continuing bearish. Okay, once it mitigates these areas. Otherwise, we may expect to see this supply fail. Okay, once it fails, then we can anticipate that price is now ready to go to continue bullish and possibly go to take out this weak swing high. Okay, to take out this weak swing high. So we may expect a push up and then a pullback, and then price continues bullish. So that's it for the 1 hour. So sorry, for the daily. And then looking at the 1 hour, and let's focus on the Euro USD. Looking at the 4 hour chart, this is what we have. So swing, we had a breakout structure bullish, and then internally we are pulling back. Okay, we've had this pullback, and then after breakout structure we do expect a retracement, and we've had that kind of retracement into this supply, mitigated supply, and then we had another pushback down. We did not reach into this fractal demand. Okay, however, price is already starting to push back up. But right now we do not have any clear defined direction. Okay, we don't have any clear direction at the moment because price is simply stuck within the supply, between this supply and this demand. Okay, and that demand. So price is in the middle of the range. So we can so as of now, maybe price will continue. So we'll have to see once price either takes out supply, and then we know that now we are possibly targeting this area and pushing higher. Okay, or if it respects, okay, if it respects, and then we might expect to see the bearish current trend from the internal range, from the swing pullback continuing. Okay, so as it stands, I may be leaning more towards going long because this supply so far has failed to do its job. Okay, it has failed to push price to break these lows. Okay, so we may see that price may now start to continue until it takes out maybe this high. Okay, and possibly maybe take out the whole supply range. And remember, we do have this resting liquidity up here and some more liquidity resting up there. Okay, so looking at the 1 hour, so on the 1 hour it just makes it more clearer, okay, what we are looking at. So we've had this demand area that was respected. We have had that demand that was respected. So from a structure perspective, internally we were bullish. Okay, we were bullish both internally and from a swing perspective. No, so from a swing perspective, my bad. So from a swing perspective, we were bearish, okay, because this is where we had our swing break of structure, and then we had this pullback, and then internally we had shifted bullish, but then from a swing perspective, we continued bearish, okay. So from a swing perspective, on the 1 hour, we are bearish, and this is our current swing range. And then internally, so we've been pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, and then internally we have now shifted bullish, okay, possibly to facilitate the swing pullback. So we've mitigated this demand, we have respected it, right, albeit creating relatively equal lows, and then now price is pushing up. Okay, now price is pushing up. So price could continue up, take out this high, it's possible, all right, or mitigate the supply and then continue bearish, or take out this this 4 hour level of supply, okay, into premium before it starts switching bearish. Okay, so we do have, this is our extreme POI that is not yet mitigated. Okay, however, it has relatively equal highs as well. Okay, so we have these 3 highs that are relatively equal. So it is likely that if price is to reach all the way up there, it might likely fail. Okay, so as it stands though, this is what we have. Okay, so we have mitigated this demand and we are respecting currently. Okay, we've had this pullback. Okay, and now we are pushing out from this demand and we could be targeting this supply. Okay, and we do have this trend line liquidity, so it's likely that we could come up to take out all of that liquidity up there. So that's really it for the 1 hour. So let's look at the GBPUSD starting on the 4H. So looking at the 4 hour, this is what we have. So from the 4 hour, we had our break. All right, this is our swing. Okay, swing break, which is bullish. And then internally, we started having this pullback. Okay, so we are breaking structure to the downside. Okay, so internally, we are pretty much bearish. However, we have come to the extreme. Okay, this is the unmitigated extreme. Okay, this for our supply, for our demand. This is the unmitigated extreme. Price has mitigated and is giving a reaction from that area. So it could be possible that this pullback is now complete. We've mitigated the extreme and now price is ready to go high and target the weak swing high. So internally at the moment, we're still bearish. The only sign that we have is we have a fractal structure break. Okay, we have fractal structure break, which is bullish. So our fractal structure has shifted bullish. Okay, so what we have is, all right, I'll just cover all of that. So this is our 4 hour for our demand. So let me pull those back. Right. And this is our 4 hour supply. This is what we have. Okay. So this is our 4 hour demand. Okay, supply range. So if we look at the details, okay, so we had our fractal structure right there, and then we had relatively cold lows, we had a sweep right there, and then from that sweep, price went on to make a higher high. So our fractal structure is continuing bullish. Okay, our fractal structure is continuing bullish at the moment. So right there on our 4 hour, we had our sweep. So that's our 4 hour liquidation. And then price went on to make a fractal high. And we're expecting price to continue as we are respecting the fractal structure at the moment. Okay, so now we're expecting this weak fractal high to be taken. And this technically, this sweep is not too large. Okay, so these are relatively equal highs. Okay, so we expect price to continue bullish to at least mitigate this supply. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at on the 4 hour, and then looking at on the 1 hour. Looking at the 1 hour, price has mitigated. Let's see. So our 1 hour swing is still bullish. Okay, 1 hour swing is still bullish, as you can see from down there. This is our 1 hour swing. This is our swing range on the 1 hour. And then internally, we are bearish. And then we've just shifted bullish from an internal perspective. So internally, we are now bullish. So we do have these supply areas in front of us. So obviously price did mitigate this. Price did mitigate this and then pulled back. And then from there, we are expecting price to continue to go bullish. Okay, so this is what we have. So from a 1 hour perspective, let's see, did we break structure? This was our high. Okay, so we haven't broken structure technically. All right. I will put it as an IBOS. Okay. So for me to consider a break of structure, it has to be a candle close. Okay. For that is a significant break of structure, it has to be a candle close. But from a fractal structure standpoint, we can consider the wicks. From our fractal structure, we are still bullish. Okay, we are still bullish, and this is what we have. So we have this demand, fractal demand. Okay, where price is reacted and price is respecting. So the expectation is that price will continue bullish and then finally mitigate, or at least take out these highs, okay, and mitigate the supply at the top. Okay. So the expectation is that if the internal trend is to continue bearish, okay, then this swing or this internal high will hold. So that means we'll expect to see either price mitigate and then come down, or if this fails, then we expect to see price mitigate this and then push down. Okay, so obviously for lower time frames, there should be opportunities there. That's what we'll be expecting. That's what we'll be looking at to get confirmation for entries on lower time frames. But these will be the PRIs which I'll be looking at. So in the meantime, we could be looking to continue continuing going long, okay, until we sweep these areas and mitigate the supply. Then we can look for maybe sells short term, okay, assuming or anticipating that this internal range is still holding for the bearish side. Okay, so those are my ideas for today. This is what I'll be looking at. I think the pound is a bit clearer, so that means we may be looking for price to mitigate this, and then we'll look for a quick reaction. If this fails, then we'll be looking for price to mitigate this and then look for a quick reaction. Okay, so that's what I'll be looking at. So if you find value with this material, please do like and subscribe and leave a comment to let me know how you are applying this to your own trading. Other than that, have a good day, and Working Trader out.